know, as the people of the land are an aboriginal people inhabiting South America and south of Chile and southwestern of Argentina for more than 12,500 years ago. This state is characterized by the great love that they have for their land, the Pachamama. This is their mother. Therefore, they should respect and care, and so the land will provide the necessary fruits for the people can feed and survive. The Mapuche are also characterized by being an independent state, free and rebellious, to not submit into the arrival of the Spanish settlers in the 16th century, when was the fierce European exploration of South America. The Mapuche people fought for more than 3 centuries against the invader. First, the Spanish settlers, Chileans later. This long resistance was possible thanks to the solid unity of the people of the land, whose social structure, though simple, was quite homogeneous. The social base was the family, the unit in the love, better known as the community. The war against the Spanish acquired the character of a popular war, where all the community were involved, in one way or another, all unit to fight the enemy that want to steal the precious treasure, their land, whose wealth full of sacred value. Argentine and Chilean states occupied territories inhabited by autonomous Mapuches with military operations called conquest of desert and pacification of Araucania respectively. None of these were held peacefully, and both states seized every culture in a violent way violates the most important human right, that right to provide a decent place to live. Therefore, distancing from their Mother Earth and strongly unprotected day to their routine, their ancestors, their territories, and their organization.
Of the constant threat about the death and invasion of Mapuche's land was the bill introduced by Salvador Allende in 1971, called Reforma Agraria, which became in the 17,729 law in September of 1972. But lamentably, this law was used only a year, because in the 1973 dispute brought repression against the Mapuche people, and also the new reform called Contra Reforma Agraria, whereby the government of the time stole the Mapuche's land again. Cultural and environmental damage against the Mapuche people was worked after the 1973 dispute, because the state supported the exploitation of exotic wood instead of native forests. All this led to the business appetite for new land, and this in turn to the division of the community lands according to the ultra-liberal economic thoughts of the dictatorship and the military mentality. The government objective was to finish once and for all with the Indian problem through the new law. This law contained ideological and cultural aspects and was made of racism and discrimination.
We talk about Chilean roots, we always talk about Mapuche people, but we never talk about Spaniards and mestizos. Mestizo is the result of the mix between a Spaniard and a Mapuche. This race began with the arrival of the conquerors. At first, the mestizos kids that born here doesn't wanted to mix with the native people of Chile because they had a special status for being allies of Spain. Then the miscegenation was extended till today, with the annexation of the south of Chile. At this point, the country had a biological homogeneous society, but in a cultural view, this homogeneous isn't present. This is because the mestizos that born with the Spaniards became culturally Spaniards, and the same happened with the mestizos that born in a Mapuche context. For example, Chile have a big amount of Mapuches with mixed blood, but they feel themselves as Mapuches. They don't feel like mestizos, even don't feel like Chileans. Then the miscegenation was extended till today, with the annexation of the south of Chile. At this point, the country had a biological homogeneous society, but in a cultural view, this homogeneous isn't present. This is because the mestizos that born with the Spaniards became culturally Spaniards, and the same happened with the mestizos that born in a Mapuche context. For example, in Chile are a big amount of Mapuches with mixed blood, but they feel themselves as Mapuches, and they doesn't feel like mestizos, even they doesn't feel like Chileans.
After a long journey from Cusco through the Atacama Desert and the transverse valleys and fighting some indigenous groups, the conquistador Pedro de Valdivia arrived in the valley of the Mapocho on December 13, 1540. Valdivia's troops encamped by the waters of the river in the foothills of Mount Tubawe, currently known as San Cristobal Hill, and slowly began to establish relations with the Indians who live in the area, the Picunches. Valdivia summoned the caciques of the area to a parliament. The Spanish conquistador explained his intention: create a city on behalf of King Charles I of Spain. The indigenous accepted at the beginning, and was seated a small island located between two branches of the river next to a hill known as Huelén, currently known as Santa Lucia, which was owned by the cacique Huelén. The Plaza de Armas was the most important place in the city, concentrating there all the power of the Captains General of Chile. The governance was there, the Cabildo of the Royal Court, and the Cathedral. In 1767, the Mayor Señorito managed to begin the construction of two of the largest architectural works of the colony, Calicanto Bridge, effectively allowing the city to join with the Chimba, and the start of the construction of embankment to prevent overflows the Mapocho. Although the bridge was able to be built, the ponds were destroyed by another flood. Meanwhile, Governor Agustín de Jauregui had brought in 1780 the Italian architect Joaquín Toesca for the construction of the new facade of the cathedral and the other government buildings, highlighting the Palace of La Moneda. Tuesday, September 18, 1810, was proclaimed the first government born in Santiago, starting the process of independence of Chile.
With the end of the War of Independence, Bernardo Higgins assumed as Chief Justice of the Republic. O'Higgins performed various works of importance to the city. During the cult, Patria Nueva reopened the closed institutions during the Spanish Reconquista and opens the General Cemetery. The work on the Gutter San Carlos was finished and the southern arm of the Mapocho, known as La Cañada, was closed over the waters, and the former landfill located on its banks was good, giving way to the Alameda de las Delicias.
Well, we are here in Plaza de Armas. This is the first 0 kilometer in the history of Chile and the center of Santiago. This place was found in 1541, to be more specific, in 12 February. As well as its name indicates, the region of this place was considered a military training area, midpoint of the Spanish colonization in 1541. However, with the passing of time, due to the closeness of the existing buildings, this activity gave way to trade and social life. Yeah? In the northwest corner of the Plaza de Armas is located the Metropolitan Cathedral of Santiago. In the northern slope of the plaza are three major buildings: Correo Central, Museo Histórico Nacional y la Ilustre Municipalidad de Santiago. Well, next to the Correo Central, it is located the Museo Histórico Nacional, which in its origins correspond to the building of the Royal Court, the highest court of the colonial country, which was definitively dissolved in the year 1818 after the Reconquest. This museum has the attraction that show a wide range of archaeological collections, painting curiosities, and objects that allude to the history of our country. Plaza de Armas has been since the conquest the center of some aspects, such as political, social, economic, and religious in the city. Was held, there are public celebrations, also religious processions. Until 1821, when is ordered the transfer market to the northern sector of the city. Plaza de Armas was also the commercial center of Santiago. Today we can see a lot of people in this place, including painters. You can see the painters there, and chess players and immigrant groups, either because they perform their work near the Plaza de Armas or socialite in their free time.
Our culture is a mixture of tradition and customs, national and foreign, but mainly from the Spanish indigenous fusion. Although the colonization is an event that happened 500 years ago, today our society is established from our roots. Many national monuments that exist in Santiago, but in this occasion I will give to know two very important in our city. Other important place in Santiago is Quinta Normal Park. It is located in Chuchunco, which in Mapudungun means abundance of water, since around the place passed a stream. It was founded in 1841 by President Manuel Bulnes. His name is composed of quinta, word to refer to the farms, and normal for normal school in France. In the beginning was an agricultural place, intended for experimentation and teaching. Inside were 5 museums, cultural centers, a greenhouse, 3 lagoons, a hospital, between others. Today, there are in the park a museum of natural history, railway museum, a museum of contemporary art, children's museums, science and technology museum.